got some breaking news, actually, about an hour before tonight's show, and it's involving Connor Zilisch. Now, on the final lap of the Xfinity Series race, Zilisch was at the front of the pack, battling for the win, when Jesse Love made contact with the number 88 Chevrolet, sending Zilisch hard into the inside wall on the back stretch. Now, on the radio, Zilisch complained about some pain in his back and spent some time in the infield care centre before he came out to speak with reporters. Now, Love was very upset about the incident because he feared that he had injured Zilisch, who he considers one of his best friends off the track. Now, as you can see on screen, Trackhouse Racing revealed that Zilisch suffered lower back injuries in the last lap crash at Talladega. Now, as a result, Cup Series driver Kyle Larson will replace him in the number 88 Chevrolet in this Saturday's Xfinity Series race at Texas Motor Speedway. The Xfinity Series also has 2 weeks off after Texas, so Zilisch will have 3 weeks to recover before the next race at Charlotte. You could argue that Larson doesn't need the extra track time at Texas, but another Trackhouse and WeatherTech back driver would probably benefit from it more. Shane van Gisbergen is having a tough rookie season as he tries to learn ovals. Now, in the first 10 races, SVG has finished outside of the top 36 times and only has 2 finishes 20th or better. He's also 35th in the points, graphic courtesy of Trackhouse Racing and JR Motorsports. So, Matt, was it right? Well, you already know my point on this, so I'm pretty much out of it. I want to hear yours. Was it right to give Zilisch a 3-week break to heal from his lower back injuries? And do you think SVG should have been the replacement driver for Texas instead of Larson?
Well, yeah, and to clarify your point, Xfinity Series doesn't go to Kansas, and then they get a week. Their week off is the All-Star weekend when we've got trucks and the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. So that's why there's a 2-week break. My 2 drivers involved in this, or 3 of my drivers involved in this story. Connor, get well soon, was a pretty hard lick that he took on Saturday. So I guess from that point of view, they need to make sure he's back and fit for the summer stretch. So take him out the car. If he's not fitting out to it, doctors have advised, etc., then great, have him out. As much as I'd love to see Shane van Gisbergen back in a Xfinity Series car, I think they've made the right decision here. The Cup Series has been a struggle for Shane. That's been well documented throughout this early quarter of the year. Third of the year now, incredibly. It's got to be May tomorrow. So putting him back in to Xfinity when he's having such a struggling, I think he needs to just focus on where he is and what he's got for Cup. Because if you put him back into Xfinity, where granted towards the end of last season, it was getting much, much better, but now he hasn't been back in an Xfinity car, especially on an oval, since then. So just keep him in the Cup car, keep him up to spec. Don't overload his weekend schedule, as much as we know SVG will race any day of the week, twice on Friday if needs be. If you gave him the opportunity, I would have said twice on Sunday, but obviously races on Sunday anyway. I think keep him in don't put him in this, keep him in the Cup car. I would have preferred, if there'd been some kind of agreement here, maybe put Daniel Suarez in the car, because we know Larson is, again, his program is pretty hectic at the moment as well. With all the sprint car racing he's been doing, he was at Indianapolis last week for the opening test, won last week, a couple of weeks ago, of course, at Bristol. May is going to be massive for Kyle, floating between Indy and Charlotte and North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. So adding another race to his schedule is going to, I don't know, does he ever get tired? Kyle Larson just seems to be doing everything all the time. But again, for me, I think SVG being kept out of the car, he may never have even been in the conversation for this. So being that it's a junior motorsports car, realistically, and of course, Dale's got his tie-ins with Hendrick, and they're running a couple of their guys through that program already this year. So I think Suarez would have been a better pick for me, but they've gone with Kyle.
SVG isn't of JRM or Hendrick's concern. JRM's main concern this week with the 88 is the Owners' Championship. Fair point.
Good point.
And the NASCAR Xfinity Series car doesn't run anywhere close to the Cup car anymore, so there's no reason to change the platform for SVG on weekends anymore. But is it wise to let Kyle Larson run when he's got such a big month ahead of him where he could get injured? Is that a risk to run?
He's more likely to get hurt in a sprint car than in an Xfinity series. So you have to say, just taking the lottery option of it. But we've seen some big accidents at Texas before, mostly in IndyCar and IRL back in the day. But I don't know. To me, he's got, as you say, and I mentioned before, he's got such a overloaded schedule over this next 4 or 5 week period. Just to add another one in there, you don't want to get to Fast Friday of Indianapolis and you wake up one morning and go, oh, I'm done. I can't be bothered with this anymore. You know what I mean? So, which obviously that's not going to happen. But if it was me, that's what I'd be saying.
Strange things have happened, haven't they?